Okay, so I should be live now. You should be able to hear me, and then this should be the rest of the crowd.
Oh, the crowd's here.
Hello. We were talking WandaVision, WandaVision, WandaVision.
That sounds fine. I'm going to ignore the little meters because I haven't got any noise gate on them or anything like that. So when, for example, on mine, when I'm completely quiet, it still flickers because it's picking up little bits of sound from everywhere. But I'll sort that out later. Can I just say that all rights are reserved. This stream is sponsored by the Design Mechanism, the creators of Mythras. Mythras is something registered ink.
Right. Yeah.
And because my all rights reserve video didn't come off at the beginning, but I have to say it because it is sponsored by the Design Mechanism. So hello and welcome, and I'm just sat here trying to think very hard what happened at the end of last session because I
know it's been
we were in the Hairy Hobgoblin.
So I'm wondering whether or not I just sort of like say, right, so players, what do you think happened last time?
I remember like somehow we learned some information that was not at all my fault. And just some indirect occurrences happening. You know, it's we'll see. You know, the plot thickens, right? And then something about like a rat guy just messing things up.
Oh, yes.
Rat guy I don't know anything about.
Yes, Sniffer was having a bit of a sniffer rat. Do you know, I must say that I was out running on Wednesday and it was a bit chilly and I was trying to occupy my brain so my legs didn't hurt. And I started to come up with names to call Cyrus. Because Cyrus has this wonderful ability to actually change people's names. And I was going, right. Instantaneously. Well, I have a Word document now.
Ooh, you come prepared. All right.
So, yeah. So
hopefully it's just not Jim and James over again.
Oh, no. That's 5 I have to cross off now.
Got it.
Bunny Box has just said, ooh, Medivac has a green screen now.
No. I just have the ability of RTX NVIDIA broadcast.
Yeah, it's not really anything. He's actually printed it out on a curtain, and his wife is stood there like this.
She's like, oh, she is Hazra.
Just another hour and a half, honey. Just another hour and a half. Stay strong.
Yeah. To be honest, the beta of the camera for the broadcast doesn't work, so this is actually on Zoom. Anybody can do it.
Yeah, and the reason I never do it is because it chops off my headphones.
Well, the Zoom meeting, the RTX NVIDIA broadcast doesn't do that, but the Zoom one does, yeah.
Yeah, it does in Teams as well. So I just look stupid, and I've spent a lot of time to create this background. I want it to be shared.
That wallpaper's not straight.
Do you like my piece of artwork here?
That's awesome. That's a UFO, Andy. Personally.
No, this.
I prefer the one above
that one. Oh, this is the way.
It's ESO Morrowind in a frame thing. It was from Chugga
That's really nice.
Bunny Buck says when she does it, it cuts off half her head because of her curly hair.
Mine, it gets confused with this bit.
Yeah.
This bit in mine, and it shows this bit. So this bit, you can just see my background, like a cream background here, no matter what I'm doing.
And then it's
just put on, and it gets confused.
You can see Hazra through my headphones, which is quite cool.
Yeah, you can.
And I can also sometimes randomly see your chair and then not see your chair.
Not see it.
Yeah. If I was using the other one, you could see everything properly, but then it would freeze.
Yeah, but do you want to know what I'm really going to miss tonight, Medivac? I'm really going to miss your wife pulling faces behind your back that we all see.
Oh, you don't see it, and the random link, like,
and you never see it, and we all go. Right.
I'll turn it on.
I can't actually seriously remember where we left the last. I normally do a
We were
cliffhanger.
talking about. No, we were talking about.
It was a
Basil
cliffhanger.
It was
Yeah.
kind of. Was it Basil talking about everybody leaving him?
Yeah.
And then what happened at the? Because I had to reset my
He
computer.
explained how terrible the business has become since we went on our adventure because, some guy left and
Cyrus.
didn't come back, for whatever reason.
Cyrus.
You get that checked. Hopefully it's not the Rona.
I've just noticed. I think my camera is further zoomed out because you all look really well proportioned in your screen, in your frames, and I'm sort of like tiny
Thank you,
at the
sir.
moment.
I've been working out.
Yeah, we've been doing weightlifting via Zoom together.
Do you know, I had the post person today, Medivac.
The post person, you
Yeah.
person. Go on.
So she knocked halfway through the stream. She knocks at the door, and I go down, and she says, "Can I leave this for the next door neighbour, please?" So I say, "Yeah." I said, "That's not a problem." So and took it in, stepped back, put it down. Thought, "Ooh, need to wash my hands now." Just not because of post. Got halfway up the stairs. Bang, bang, bang on the door. Come back. Oh, she says, "I'm sorry, there's this one as well." I say, "Okay, they're not a problem." Put them right. Got right the way up here. Just put my headphones on. Bang, knock, knock, knock. Went right the way down, and it was my next door neighbour come to collect the mail. And I said,
No.
"Didn't you hear them knocking at the door?" And you won't believe what she said. She says, "Yes," she says, "but I was having my lunch." So
I get that so off. Do you know what? I enjoy. Right, we do this. I'll do this off air. No, I do dislike customers who will rather finish a game of Fortnite than come and answer the door. So I make a note of these people, and I pre-fill out a card before I go there.
Oh,
I'll go knock, knock, knock. Wait a minute. Knock, knock, knock. Wait a minute. Card them. Walk away.
I thought
It's fun for me because I have to carry that thing around all day.
what you were going to say is that they won't come away from Fortnite, so you go on the night and slaughter them.
I'm going to grieve you.
This and teach you.
The postman pony.
Show 1970.
Yeah. What's your Fortnite character, Medivac?
Postman.
The postman only knocks
postman.
twice.
Not the Colin Costner version. Colin Costner? COVID. Wednesday.
Yeah. Costa. All right, brilliant. Let's
That was
move.
me thinking the post lady was doing something completely different in Wills. I was thinking if she knocked a third time, then she's clearly giving a signal.
Well, I was a sort of she's
No,
nice.
The postman only rings twice.
Yeah, exactly. And you're taking it off now.
Lee, say hello. She got headphones on.
It's not that she has headphones on. She just always ignores Medivac no matter what.
Oh, true. No, I'm not going to get rid of you. I'd never get rid of you, darling. Well, I would actually.
Well, roll a d100. Roll a d100 and we'll see what happens.
See what happens. Oh,
Brilliant. Okay then. So the party came back from. Oh no, hang on. We're not onto that bit. It's your bit.
Introductions.
Before I let you know what happened last time and gives me an opportunity to quickly just watch the end of the video again, I'm going to allow the players an opportunity to say who they are and who they will be playing tonight. And we're going to start off with Mr. Pickles, the Pickle One Show, the Pickle Show. Off you go, Mr. Pickles.
I am Mr. Pickles, and I play Bartleby Fumus, which is our team's theist, one of our two spellcasters in the party. Bartleby is able to work with his goddess Amriel to bring down miracles that can heal people, reduce their fatigue, make them feel empowered with the spirit of the moon goddess. He can repair some things. He can do other minor effects. Lighting candles is a popular thing that Bartleby likes to do. But beyond his magical abilities through his goddess, he's our team's historian, person who knows about monsters, knows a lot about the lower impoverished areas of the town of Lindowe that we're in. He might be our most streetwise character in the party, but he's just one of the people who knows how to handle things like that. He's currently working to raise his rank from an initiate of the faith into a acolyte. In doing so, last session we were going over how Bartleby's preaching was going, and I think it's going well, but it's difficult to tell. I had a couple good and one bad sessions there, but Bartleby is mostly non-combatant. He can't really hit anything, so he's often walking around with a club, but it's mostly to keep his balance if somebody bumps into him. Dexterity is not his strong point, and with that, I'm going to throw the microphone over to our other spellcaster, Captain Kangaroo.
Hey everyone, I'm Captain Kangaroo, and I know what you're thinking. Yes, I'm a lot like Captain America, except instead of a superhuman serum, it's mostly KFC gravy being injected in me. I'm playing Cyrus Alias. I'm playing Cyrus Alias tonight. He is the other spellcaster of the group. He's kind of the group instigator. He likes to move the plot forward by burning every bridge possible. We've learned a little bit more. He's progressing a little further into his trademark pending Order of the Phoenix group, and he has now a new mentor who is older than time, and who's also just as sarcastic and terrible as he is. We'll find out what more he can do to damage everyone's reputation indirectly. I'm going to pass the mic over to Longshanks EPG.
Thank you very much, Captain Kangaroo. Hi guys, I'm Longshanks EPG, and tonight, as always, I'm playing the stoic and noble warrior Hengist. He hails from across the sea, so he's not a native of Lindowe. He's been kicking around Lindowe for ages now. It's probably a couple of years in game, at least, if not slightly more. As I said, he's a warrior. He fights with heavy plate armor that's embossed in a green color, or enameled, sorry, in green color, and it's got a white horse, which is his family's crest from across the sea, because he hails from a noble family, and his parents did have some land, but stuff happened, and some of that land got taken away. And he's here to right wrongs, protect the weak and innocent, and work his way up further into the higher echelons of the noble house Galot, which is one of the 3 noble families and major noble houses in Lindowe. And they kind of, well, they did used to look after the innocent and the poor, and they also gave free armor to the town guard and all that sort of thing. But now that the main house Galot chap got assassinated, we won't say any more about that. His wife, Lady Harmony, has taken over. Now, rumor has it she has a new man on the scene, so we can only speculate how House Galot may change, because she wasn't very interested in helping the poor and the town. She was more interested in money. But we'll see how Hengist can try and mitigate that as he slowly works his way up, going through social parties. Bearing in mind, Hengist isn't a sociable person. He's much happier with armor, sword in hand, hacking some barbarian or some weird creature apart. But he will do his best to right the wrongs in the town of Lindowe. And I think that's enough rambling and given in Wills enough time, so I'll pass it over to Medivac.
Why, thank you, Longshanks CPG, and I am Medivac, and I play Hazra Khan. He's a group's go-to hunter, tracker, forager. He finds himself completely at home in the wilderness. He favors a short spear and a scimitar. He likes to wear his lovely quilted armor, which apparently looks like pajamas, but nobody knows what pajamas are in this wonderful world. So he does favor the outdoors, and he's very cringy while he's in a city. But he does go to his favorite haunts, which at the moment is always has been the Hairy Hobgoblin, which is the first place I've been to inside a city. Although at the moment it's a little bit empty, but we'll sort that out. Not a problem. I've no idea how, but we'll do it. Last time he had a rather enlightening experience with the Brotherhood, which he's a member of. And they took him into a tent and then plied him with the most amazing things. Yeah, mate. No, and he will remember those visions from now on that he saw. Captain Unicorn. And with that, I shall pass on to Imwells, our inglorious Game Daddy.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Game Daddy, that's a new term. Right, so just so you know, if you are watching the session today and you would like to support the players in their escapades, then you can actually engage with the stream and actually allow them or give them benefits. Okay, then, so for just a £1 or 100 bits, you can give the player an opportunity to change the difficulty of any roll by 1 level. So instead of being a standard roll, it would be an easy roll. If it's an easy roll, it'll become a very easy roll. Or that player can, if they have this, instead of making their role easier, they can make my role harder. Okay, so if we're both on standards, they can say, no, I'm going to make my standard roll, but I want you to roll at hard. Okay, so that's just for £1 or 100 bits. For £3 and 300 bits, you can give an automatic succeed to the player. So with that amount, they can actually roll a dice. They don't need to roll it at all. They just say, I want this to be an automatic succeed, and they will get the best roll for that. Or for the same amount, and it's either either or. They don't get both. They can actually say, no, I'll just roll, but I want you, GM, to fail. Okay, so they have the option, one or the other. And for the fantastic Mr. Pickles get excited, for £5 or 500 bits, you can give another player or one of the player another luck point to use. Now, luck points are really important in the game. They allow players to actually change a huge amount of things. They can use luck point to swap the the digits round in their dice roll. So if they failed on an 82, they can swap it round and get a 28 and succeed. They can decide to roll again if they can't swap the digits around. They can make me, the GM, roll again and say, no, you have to roll again. And they tend to do that when I get critical rolls, but it normally doesn't work because I just get a slightly better critical roll. Or they can take an extra action, or they can survive a major wound and reduce it to a serious wound. Bunnybox says, we're going to have to save up some bitties to give Hengist some more luck points. This is what I think. Has Hengist gone to sleep? Is he still?
What?
I thought when they mentioned luck points, you would burst into action. Players, all I ask you to do, that if anybody is kind enough to donate something to you, that if you can use it within today's session, and if it's luck points, use that luck point before you use your own luck points. Okay, so because I don't really want I think it's nice that if somebody donates something to you, you use it here and now rather than waiting 6 weeks and then think, oh, I'll suddenly use that. So all that information is over there for you, and it's down in the comments below, in the panels below, if you would like to have a look. So when you are donating or whatever, please make sure you tell us which player you want to give it to. So the players last week, they had come back from a big adventure. They'd been out of town for some time, and they came back to their beloved, the Hairy Hobgoblin, a tavern of great renown in the Lindowe area. It was a popular place. It was always packed full. Cleanliness was probably not high on the list, but there had been some fantastic brawls and moments when the party bonded over a piece of rabbit stew, and it was really the place that initially Hengist, who's the only founding member, actually came and actually did some work for Basil Earless, the tavern owner, cleared out his basement for him, which is not a euphemism of for anything else. They literally just cleared out his basement of pig rats. And yeah, they've been having their table that you can see in the image below us for some time. However, something didn't go quite right before the players left. And when they came back, they suddenly find that Basil's favourite, his life, his dream of the Hairy Hobgoblin was practically empty. There seemed to be nobody in. Even the drunkards who used to prop up the corner in the room till the early hours of the morning, they had gone. The barmaid that Cyrus had made several advances to was losing her rag with Basil because there was no money, and Basil poured his heart out to the group at the end of last week's adventure, basically saying that the Hairy Hobgoblin was going to close. He had people asking for money. He wasn't earning anything. Hazra quite willingly gave his products, his produce to Basil, but sadly there was nobody around to serve. However, the tavern business is not all doom and gloom in Lindowe, because when the party came back, they noticed that there was a new tavern that had opened just across the way from the Hairy Hobgoblin. This tavern was in stark contrast to the Hairy Hobgoblin. It was full, it was light, there was laughter in it, there was joyous screams, everybody seemed to be enjoying themselves, and the party sort of like walked past, and as they looked in, the people moved in a certain way, and they got just a glimpse of a person that they had seen before. I don't think Cyrus has seen them, but Hengist and Bartleby and Hazra have. And they saw briefly, just briefly, through the parting crowd, the face of Sniffer. Now, Sniffer is a rat-like man with very sharp, pointed features that runs the Thieves' Guild, or allegedly runs the Thieves' Guild in Lindowe. He's a man that the party have crossed before and paid the price when they got attacked back, but then maybe, they revenged that quite nicely. And there has been no word of Sniffer at all until that moment. And just as the party gazed through and caught and double-taked, the people had come back over, and the Sniffling Boar just seemed to be once more a lively tavern. And that's where we left it last week. The party did their own little personal stories last week as well, and spent their experience points. And at the end of last adventure, Basil poured his heart out to the foursome and sort of like said, this is what it's going to be. If something doesn't happen soon, the Hairy Hobgoblin, the pride and joy of Basil, and the haunting ground for this terrible, fearsome foursome, looks like it might close. And that's where we left it, people. Basil wiping his eyes and nose on the bottom of his apron, and then wiping that off onto the spoon before dipping it back into the stew that has been there for so long. The fat has solidified over the top, and you need to break it like an ice to get to the bubbling broth that is beneath. And yeah, Basil sort of like goes across and sort of like, he excuses himself, and he's obviously got a tear in his eye. He's obviously very overcome, and he makes an excuse of having to go and check a beer barrel or something like that. And he's all like says, I'll be back later, and sort of like scuffles off and goes down into the cellar, leaving all four of you alone for probably the first time ever in the Hairy Hobgoblin, sat at your table, cradling your drinks, your chosen drinks, and in a very, very quiet and very silent hobgoblin, Hairy Hobgoblin. And yeah, I'll shut up and by all means take up the reins.
Cyrus will look up from his cup and say, God, he just won't shut up, would he? And go back to drinking.
Poor man was pouring his heart out. His business and his livelihood's gone down the drain because of, well...
Sniffer.
If he started pouring more drinks instead of pouring more of his heart, I think he would probably make more money. But it's okay. What are we gonna do with the sniffer guy?
Whatever we do, we have to be extremely careful, bearing in mind what he did to us last time.
I don't know what we did. I don't know who he is. You guys keep mentioning him. I've never seen this guy. I have no idea.
I've been warning you this entire time. I've been warning you. Sniffer is going to come after us again. He's still out there, and now he's hit us where it hurts for you. The
This
drinks.
is literally the first time I've heard this name.
He's a very dastardly person who will find out where you live and force you to move location.
Well, he
It's
did more
terrible.
than that to you, Hazra. He had his hired men burn your house down.
He possibly poisoned Brutus. Possibly. But we will find out. I will find out. If
Not
he
to
did or
mention
not.
brazenly having mercenaries attack the house of Amriel under man with a
Yes.
cloth.
I feel like
And
this
did he not
guy.
also send
And Bartleby was
2 or
there as
3
well,
people
just so
against
you
you
know.
and tried to abolish you?
I feel like this guy has really gotten you all of your ire. But again,
He
hasn't
sent
affected me
400
whatsoever.
people and a dragon against Hengist. It was frightening.
He needed to do better.
I think there was 5 ruffians on that one, if I remember right.
There was more than 5.
500.
It was
was
closer to
5.
it was 5 to 8.
100.
But no, actually I think it was like 12, wasn't it?
And a gelatinous cube.
Sorry,
Actually, come to think of it, it was 20, and they all had battle axes.
Darth in the chat just said Bartleby has been dying to say I was right.
I told
Like-
you so.
Like that ex-wife we've all got. Yes. I told you so.
Told you so.
So, honestly, this is easy. We can get right through this. Let's just, I go in my bag and pull out that one bottle of poison that I had the potion guy look at before.
Mm.
We're just go in there, poison some random drinks, destroy their business. Easy.
We're not going to
It's-
kill people, innocent people.
We're not,
Cyrus.
I didn't say kill. I said just, make them super sick to the point where they may or may not die.
Amriel would not have that.
Well,
That is the
Amriel
sort of
might
thing a
have-
sniffer
no.
would do.
We can't lower ourselves to being like
Ex-
Sniffer. We have to beat him
Exactly,
the righteous
my friend.
way.
Exactly. I agree with you.
so you're suggesting we put effort into actually doing something.
Yes.
I think we turn the Hairy Hobgoblin into a guards bar.
I wondered what you were going to say there.
No.
Guards
Somewhere
bar?
where the guards would come to drink, maybe give them half-price drinks. Like the place where Bartleby told us you went to when down near the docks, where you met your guards friends for the very first time.
Oh,
The very
that,
first time. I've always been a friend of the guards.
that was over
No,
by...
no,
that was in
was-
this area of town. It was further over. It was near Bastion.
No,
Oh.
it's this.
I think
Angus
it's...
will look around to see if he can see Basil, and if Basil's still disappearing, he'll say, "It's a little bit down market for for the guards.
Isn't number 3 the guards?
I
Yeah,
think it was
that's
like their
about right.
barracks or something,
Yeah.
or their pub or yeah. I can't
That's the
remember.
guards pub number 3. And you, just so you know, everyone knows, you're at number 1, which is the Hairy Hobgoblin.
That's
Yeah,
not a bad
number
idea, though. If I met up with some guards, maybe not at the bar, because I don't want any other bartenders to think I'm poaching their customers, but if I talked among the guards, perhaps, and mentioned that I had put down 200 silver for any guards who show up to the Hairy Hobgoblin, that might potentially threaten the thieves across the street.
So you're trying to say the way of Amriel is what's the word? Bribing?
It's not a bribe. It's a gift.
It's a gift to bring them
Gifts,
joy in their lives, the joy of alcohol, which you, Cyrus, should appreciate. Because I have known you do like to take the grape and the barley and the wheat and everything else you could possibly take. Quite well.
Yeah, sure, but that's because I like to live life, all right? But we also have to do things the proper way, apparently, to this little guy over here.
I'm taller
but the
than you.
guards like to live life too,
Yeah,
because
but not emotionally.
they may be the last one. But, you know,
All
but
right,
you
all
city
right,
folk are all crazy.
all right.
That's all I say.
All right, me and the pious one, we'll go to the guards. I honestly don't think Hengist should go with see the guards. Sorry, but everyone knows I'm the party starter, and this guy, I don't know.
Cyrus,
some
my
reason
friend,
they like him too.
I think personally, you and I should perhaps maybe make sure Basil here is safe and protected from this horrible person across the road, from Sniffer. And maybe Bartleby go by himself. You know how I feel about cities. I would rather, Cyrus, have you by my side, protecting me here, and Basil here as well. So that I would feel so much safer with you here. And then Bartleby. You know, Bartleby is a friend of the people, of the guards. He can wander quite happily around the city.
Mhm.
So let maybe Bartleby go by himself and maybe. Oh,
No,
yes,
take
yes.
Cyrus with you. Take Cyrus with you.
He is the party starter.
I am the
If
party
one
starter,
button
and
clicks
Cyrus
on,
really
go
wants
on.
to partake in this 200 silver piece.
I am the
Drink-a-thon.
party starter.
I mean, it's like a party
Yeah,
starter,
but,
like
yeah.
starting a fire, but this feels like starting the fire with a tank of gasoline.
If anyone
Might
knows how to start a
work.
fire, it's Cyrus. Specifically, fires that kill little girls sometimes.
Oh yes, I
This is
forgot
Cyrus
about that.
walking around. Walking
Murderer.
around an old rig at night time with a match going, hello.
It's not murder, it's manslaughter, because I didn't know
Murderer.
she was in there. It's different.
Can you all roll for me a perception roll, please? Just normal standard roll. Oh, well done, Hengist. Hengist is starting as he means to go on. Oh, and has
I
roll.
wanted crit.
Right, that's it.
My crit's better than yours, mate.
Whoa! I
Yeah.
feel like we might have wasted our best roll.
Well, yeah, that's it now. So, for once, which is extremely rare in this party, everybody hears the following. I've forgotten sort of like what time it is, but I'm going to say that it's sort of like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, and you've been talking to Basil. You probably came here after you'd done all your own business in any case. And you're sort of like talking, and Basil's still down in the cellar. And you hear from outside what can only be described as guffawing of laughter and sort of like cheers and real sort of like a merriment happening. And it goes from quite quiet to also this booming amount of noise that you also like go, what? You know, from outside. And Basil sort of like comes up from the cellar and he sort of like hears it and he says, don't worry. He says, it gets like that. Yeah, they're obviously having a really good time over there. I think they used to have a good time over here as well, but oh yeah, I don't really know. And Annalyn doesn't even come in anymore. He used to bring in a lot of business as well, and things are just going downhill. And then he looks up and he sees that your plates of food. Have you eaten any of the food that Basil gave you?
Depends on how many bugs are still on.
There's
the
no bugs. There's no maggots. It does look quite stale. You know, the bread is, you could probably hit it on the side of the table.
and do D6 damage.
Sorry. The chatter said, Darvster said, Cyrus looks down shiftily when Basil mentions Annalyn. They know. I wonder if I should.
At least someone's paying attention.
Maybe I should allow people to donate bits and pounds to remove things. You have to do the following.
You can rewrite history to just
100. And Basil sees your stale food untouched, and he sort of like looks over, and he looks somewhat concerned and says, "Is the food all right?"
Honestly, had a big lunch, so I'm just gonna not eat this.
Basil, I will be honest with you, my friend.
Hang on.
I provide you the
Hazra, before you're honest, I just want to see Cyrus's deceit roll.
Oh, sorry.
We will see.
If this is another crit, then it's a...
No.
Oh my God. I need to make a roll before I do anything else.
It's all right because Basil fails his sort of like under his insight roll as well, so neither of you are on the right. And he says, "Oh yeah," he says, "we used to have quite a lot of lunchtime crowd here as well. Yeah, big lunches were a thing there. Yes, Master Hazra, what?"
Basil, my friend, as you know, I am the supplier of your meats to eat, and to be honest, my friend, this is not the best thing you have ever done. This is, look at the bread. And he'll pick up the bread and he'll try to spot something running. Yeah, any insect, throw it at it. And hopefully, bang, kill it.
Yeah, and he sort of like says, "I was saving the good stuff, but this good stuff is rather, well, stale as well. There seems
this is the thing with bread. It's supposed you bake his bread. You make bread in the morning. You sell it through the day. You make more in the morning.
But if I was making more bread every morning, I would just be throwing it in the pig swill."
I know. But
I'm sorry, Master Hazra. I'm really doing my best here, but
we need to clear out your kitchen and start from scratch. Then we will have your new customers coming in very soon. Mr. Bartleby here is going to speak to some friends to bring them into your establishment. Mr. Bartleby, tell him what you're going to do.
This might be a deceit roll as well.
Well, my plan was to get some of my the people I maybe party with sometimes.
Party. Yes, that's a weird word for you.
It is. It didn't feel right. But I have some friends who might be willing to come by here. I'd like to perhaps leave a sum of silver so that my friends can come and partake in the merriment here. Your finest ale, perhaps?
Well, his eyes look slightly wider, and you see hope flash across them for one moment until depression takes control of them once again and says, "Well, yeah, well, if they do come along, then I'll do my best, Mr. Bartleby. As you know, I'll do my best. I think I've got some of Mr. Hazra's rabbit still downstairs to skin and chop up. They're quite fresh. I think a few weeks old. They should be fine. They should be fine once I remove the matted blood from them. You know, but I could make
Amy.
a stew.
Yes.
Well,
a stew.
Basil. Well, if it makes you feel better, and this somehow doesn't turn out right, based on the current environment here, maybe you can convert this place into a library. Well, because no one's talking, and this is really easy to read things.
He's just sort of like looks. A library?
Well, you know, it's
You
very
mean
easy
like
to read. It's
you
comfortable.
mean like books?
Scrolls? You know,
Do you think
maybe
that
less menus.
Mr. Cyrus, do you think that would work? I'm quite prepared to take anything, any advice. I'll give anything a go.
I don't know. It was more of a sarcastic statement, but
All right, sorry.
sure.
My insight roll is quite pathetic, so I didn't catch the sorcerer's humour there. I thought you were giving me hope on a very dark and dismal day.
No, that doesn't really sound like me.
But
It's almost like. Sorry.
it just seems like you lit a candle and then snuffed it out before my very eyes. And yet he goes,
Yeah.
and then he pauses for a moment, and then he says, would you mind? I think it's probably about time to close up now. So yeah, I'm sorry, but I don't really think there's anybody else coming here tonight. So maybe an early night will make me feel a little bit better in the morning.
Okay. Can you pour me one for the road?
He sort of like looks at the things and sort of like says, "Oh, to tell you the truth, Mr. Cyrus, just take the bottle." And he just sort of like pushes it over to you, and then he sort of like comes round and stands at the door ready to open it and show you out to the street. And you, as you approach, you notice that he's extinguishing any candles that were like to illuminate the room, and even the fire that is normally quite ablaze and warming the place is just sort of like amber glowing in the stove, and everything seems to be very much dank and dismal and probably not very positive for the Hairy Hobgoblin. And in stark contrast, as you step out into the street, across the way, the Sniffling Boar can only be said to be in full throes of an evening. Let me just get rid of Gulliver out of this picture and put you on. So we're going to say that this is the Hairy Hobgoblin here that you're just coming out of, and that round part here is
Blank for me.
Yeah, I'm blind
We've
too.
just got black screens.
you just got black screens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah, so far.
In thoughts.
Maybe it's like really dark.
There we go.
Okay. So this is the Hairy Hobgoblin that you're leaving, and this place here is the Sniffling Boar. The actual entrance to it is actually here. Okay, if you can see that. And what you can also see, which is quite... You've never really seen this before, And the last time you were here, this was not apparent. Okay, but it's quite stark, and you really see it that the shutters are open, and there's huge amount of noise and laughter going out, and on the outside of the door there appears to be two what you as players recognize as bouncers, what your characters probably recognize as some kind of guard or burly mercenary, almost like guarding the entrance. But the interesting thing is that there's actually two lines of people. There's a line that starts from the this guard and goes down. Hang on, let me just go onto your layer with it, and then you'll be able to see it. Just move it on to that. Okay, so hopefully you can see that arrow now. So there's a line that's coming down that way, and this line is full of what can only be called or termed townsfolk. Okay, they're very shabbily dressed. You probably think there's a couple of merchants there, tradesmen, wives and husbands, almost like the not exactly slum folk, but more common and garden townsfolk. And there seems to be that queue tends to be quite long, and there's lots of people, and they're all talking to each other, and the door to the Sniffling Boar is open, and there's a great amount of noise and laughter and light coming out of it. And then the other side, there's another queue of people, and this one you can tell goes round the corner. Okay, and this line of people is completely different. Hengist, you recognize some of these people. These are from Noble Hill. These are members of...
They're a long way from Noble Hill.
Yeah, exactly. These are people of your class. These are nobles. And, you know that sometimes they do come down into Lindowe because they went to the Gentleman's Club, if you remember, when you were trying to protect the lead of House Galot, and you went to the Gentleman's Club. But this is not a Gentleman's Club. This is a tavern. This is a tavern quite near to the walls and the slums. But they seem to be really excited. You can see that they're all dressed up. They keep looking to see how many people are in the queue before them. And every now and again, as you come out, you see what the rumpus was about earlier on, when one of the bouncers or guards from inside their security sort of like hurls somebody out onto the street, and they sort of like skid along on the mud, and everybody on the line sort of like laughs and points, and so the guy sort of like, he looks like an 18-year-old, sort of like scampers to his feet and looks at the bouncer in the doorway and says, am I banned forever? And the bouncer sort of like says, yes. Well, until tomorrow, in any case, and everybody laughs, and the youngster sort of like gets up and staggers a bit, and you can easily see that he's probably had too much ale or wine or whatever, and he sort of like looks at the big bouncer and sort of like says, "Oh, thanks, Mike," and the bouncer says, "No worries, Tom. Come back tomorrow, and we'll start where we left off." And he sort of like staggers and sort of like goes out and goes north away from you. And the bouncer puts his head round the corner to the two people on door duty and sort of like says, room for a couple more now. And they goes inside, and the guardsman, the bouncer, sort of like exchange a few glances, and then they signal to the next two rich people to go in, and this causes quite a kerfuffle in the other line, and somebody sort of like says, "But we were here before them," and the guard just turns around and says, "I'm sorry, you will not be able to gain access to the Sniffling Boar." He goes, "Well, but," and he sort of like reaches into his belt and takes out what appears to be a sap, a little metal, it's probably leather, tanned leather, a little bit bigger than, a lot smaller than your club, Bartleby, but quite, and the guy and his lady friend sort of like eyes get wider as they see this sap, and they say, "Oh yeah, of course, we'll try to come back tomorrow maybe." And the guy the bouncer says, "Yes, tomorrow be a good idea." And they sort of like are shuffled along away, and they come past you both, and the woman's saying, "Sid, why did you say that? We could have been in before midnight, but no, you've just got and spoilt it all the time. This is all you ever do. Well, you'll be sleeping in the stable tonight." And they sort of like go out of earshot, and everybody moves up one, waiting to get inside. Yeah, what would you like to do? If anything.
Why are people waiting in line when they could just go across the street where there's no line? I mean, it's not open anymore, but like minutes earlier.
Because this is an exciting thing in town. That's what people want.
How is it so exciting in there?
Have we been there yet? Maybe we want to check it out. Maybe, see what the enemy's doing.
And Basil's not.
This because I want to keep drinking.
And Basil's not exactly putting on the best atmosphere at the moment with his mood.
Yeah, because he's already closed the shop.
Has Cyrus got the bottle? Did Cyrus take the bottle?
Yeah, of course. It was an offered bottle.
Cool.
What's he gonna say? It's a gift.
Yeah.
It's rude to say no.
Maybe you should be in charge of the Hairy Hobgoblin for a short time. Maybe you should make it a party place, as you say, because whatever party is, to be fair, you know what a party is because you're a party person.
Hazard, I am
steps.
flattered. I'm flattered of what you think of me. But I don't run businesses.
He drinks them into the ground.
No, you don't. You don't need to run it. Maybe you could be like. In our village, we used to have a person, unorganized, like birthdays and births and deaths and things, and he would make everything come together. And maybe you could be that person for Basil, who could perhaps turn this business of his into something amazing.
I'm
or not.
a sorcerer of the Order of the Phoenix. I am not a party planner.
I thought you said you're the party starter.
Party starter, not a planner. I don't plan things. It just happens.
Well, no. This is not something to plan. This is something to start. Maybe let's get the party started.
Like the kindle right before the flame.
Yes.
Okay, we'll go with that.
You need a little bit of tinder to start a flame.
Hang on. There'll be no burning of any buildings.
But perhaps
it would make things so much easier.
Well,
don't give him any ideas, Hazra.
Just
I'm assuming they have fire exits. Anyways, do you want to check out what the adversary is doing?
Do you think
see what they're doing right?
And I do not want to go in there because it seems a little bit too close for me. But I will wait outside and I will have a look around the building if that's all right. I just wouldn't feel comfortable inside.
What do you think, Bartleby? Should we go in and have a few drinks?
I mean, I'm looking at the lines here, and believe me, I don't get to cut lines just because I'm a priest of Amriel.
Well, obviously, because you're doing it wrong. All right. Well, let's.
I'll follow your lead though if you have a plan there, Cyrus.
Does it look like it's like an hour-long wait in Wills?
The top line seems to be moving quicker. But even though quicker, I mean, the time that you've been stood out here, one person has come out and they've let 2 people in, and that's been it. But everybody, the remarkable thing is that everybody appears to be quite happy to stand in line. And Hengist, you even notice some of the nobles are, they're almost like shivering because they've come out in their party outfits with just a heavy cloak on, and it's not really that sort of weather. But they seem to be so eager to actually wait and get in. None of you, looking at the lines, I mean, it's about 8, 9 o'clock at night. You think some of these people are never going to get in there, and yet they are lining up.
Is the people from one of the lines who are coming out of the building, are they carrying stuff like bottles or anything?
Apart from the teenager who's been kicked out, nobody else has left. It's almost as if once they're in there, they want to stay in there. The only people that you've seen leave was the Tom character that got kicked out. And even then there was something quite strange about it, as if it was some kind of a game or something like that.
All right. Well, I don't think we're going to get in tonight based on the line. Do you want to do your plan tomorrow? And we just call it a night? Your plan of bribing Leeds Town's guards who are enjoying a drink at probably the most boring place in town?
Well, if I can gather up some people, and perhaps Hengist, you must know some people who might be willing to have some fun in the central Lindowe. Maybe if Cyrus, you could get some of the order. Well, no. I'm sure you don't want to bother them with fun and party. If we can get this all anticipated to start tomorrow, that would be a good move in the direction of making the bar happen again. But I feel like there's something strange going on. Bartleby would like to start waving his hands to do a certain prayer that you guys might all know. I'd like to cast Witch Sight if I can, to look at see if there's any hex or strange floating off this building.
Okay then, go for it. Sorry, I was looking at something else there. Successful folk magic comes off, and you cast the spell, and you observe both the area and the bouncers and the door, and to your surprise, it looks all incredibly mundane. There seems to be no magic at work here at all. It seems to be genuine fun. Something that Bartleby probably misses out on in the church, but
praying is fun. Let's
praying is fun. And it's just sort of it's completely strange.
Astra will, taking a leaf from Bartleby's book, and say, Hengist, my friend, do you recognize these pipe-bomb people? Do you recognize any of them where they live, perhaps?
Do I recognize anyone in the queue?
I
mean, I recognize their nobles, but is there any specific people I recognize?
Yeah, so
my thing is, are they nobles or are they people dressed as nobles?
I think you have a new skill.
Yeah, nobility-wise.
Yeah, so let's it's still a big place.
Very close.
Well,
Jesus.
I got a 13 out of 9.
See, this would be a wonderful opportunity for somebody to actually donates a bitsy to actually.
It's right there, guys. Come on, he doesn't have a chance.
Okay, so
We'll wait.
Sorry, Darth has just said, praying is fun should be the motto outside Bartleby's church. Yeah, and it's sort of like
Amariel?
you look up and down and you don't think there's nobody that you recognise, but they don't look like they're dressed up. Their skin is too milky pale and white. You know, what they're wearing, you know, they've got decent shoes on. They look like they would be dressed up
down.
Well, as if they're going to a noble party.
Okay.
And just the other really interesting thing is that they don't seem to be ashamed or worried about being seen in the queue. If anything, they seem to be quite excited, as if it's some kind of...
Like a hellfire club, isn't it?
Yeah, and as if this is the trendy place to be in Lindowe. And as you stand there, as if by magic, Bartleby, you notice that coming down the street from above, so the other end from you, you should be able to see them now. There's two of the patrolling guards, and they sort of like marching down with their spears out and lanterns being carried as they do their nightly patrols. And as they come by, they sort of like look at the line of people, and then they look at the bouncers and they sort of like signal them and say, all right, yeah, just please tell your boss, you know, that we're doing what is asked. We're keeping a regular patrol down here just to make sure that there's any trouble tonight. And the bouncer sort of said, no, we're fine. Well, you know, if there is any trouble, we're more than welcome to help. If, you know, that might... And they sort of like go like this at the bouncers and says, don't worry, we have your back. And yeah, so we'll just holler if you need any help. And they sort of like continue to walk down the street. And as they get close to you, they sort of like see you, Bartleby, and sort of go, oh, hi, miss. Hi, Bartleby. You all right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
You're on the wrong side of the road.
Yeah, I was just noticing this very popular bar here.
Oh, fantastic!
Have you been in before?
Oh, yeah. Would you believe we get discount?
Yeah, I guess I could believe that.
Yeah, and do you know, we didn't believe this to start off with. Half price alcohol, half price.
How can they afford that?
And what one of the other guard says, well, it's not really half price, isn't it? And he says, no, it is, it's half price. And he says, yeah, but even half price is slightly more expensive than anywhere else you go. Yeah, but it's the atmosphere, Toby. Toby, you pay for the atmosphere. Well, it is quite a nice atmosphere there. And there's lots of services being provided. Lots of services. Mr. Bartleby, you might not want to go in any of the back rooms if you understand what I'm meaning. He says, I don't know what your inclination is, but yeah, well, you know, it's yeah, well, let's just say that we don't want you to mucky your vestments by going into the back there. You know, there are certain places that the moonbeam of Amriel should not be shining, if you know what I mean. and the other one goes, huh? What was that? No, I'll tell you later. I'll tell you later. Oh yes. Well, yeah, Mr. Bartleby, if you ever want to, join us, we're more than happy. We get the special discount for patrolling a little bit more, if you know what I mean. Yeah, and then we get the discount. So as you can see, probably tell that the most popular the most popular shift to have nowadays is, well, 7 o'clock and through the night, and then the next day it's party on down at the Sniffling Boar. Weird name, but you soon get over it once you get inside. It's quite fun. Do you want to join us, Mr. Bartleby? We're quite happy. You could come in as one of our mates. And the other one says, "What? Everywhere? Well, no, we'll leave him outside drinking when we go back there." "Oh, yeah, that's fine then. That's absolutely fine. What do you say, Mr. Bartleby? Would you like to join us one evening? Just for drinks, you understand? Just for drinks."
You're not.
Yes, I'd
dining
love
as well.
that sounds like it would be a very enlightening experience, and I appreciate the warnings too, of course.
And what
I only go where Amriel beckons I should.
Oh, yeah. There are dark places where not even the light of Amriel will penetrate in there, I tell you. And one of them turns to you at Hengist and he looks at you and he looks at you again. And he turns to you and says, Is that who I think it is? Yeah, that's him.
Oh, no.
That's him. Just ignore. It's almost as if they have this wonderful ability to not realize that you all stood there as they're talking. Yeah. He was the one. Oh, right. Well, he seems to be doing a lot of good for himself. That's quite good armor. Not too happy, not too sure about the pigtails though, but each to his own. Right, we better go carry on. We'll do a quick round and we might see you back here. Anyway, Mr. Bartleby, you queue on the opposite side. This, and they point to the Hairy Hobgoblin, this is shut now. Nobody bothers there. Everybody goes across the way. Annaline's in there. The booze is better. The drink is in there. There's certain services that I will not mention in the light of Amriel, you understand. But he says it's a good place. And, we could get your name down if you want. Come in with us. I'm sure they'll be happy to see you. And they sort of say, right, gentlemen, we'll be on our way then. And they sort of wave goodbye to the bouncers and wave goodbye to you and go off with their spears and the lanterns. And as they, so did he really do? Yep, he really did. And they just sort of carry on moving down and then go off down the street.
I'll walk up to Bartleby.
Yes, you're right next to him. You're right next to him.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
You're right next
to the street and then walks in a circle back round.
I'll make a big circle around. I pat him on the back and said, "Yeah, it's weird how conveniently they ruined all your plans right there, huh, buddy? Darn. Every
Sniffer does this kind of thing. He's always
sniffing.
Always sniffing up clues and putting obstacles in it. The police, the Thieves Guild. It's hired the police.
Yeah, it's called they're doing that thing that you were suggesting earlier,
But mine was to support local business.
Well, theirs is too. That local business, and I point to the bar that's having all the fun people at. I feel like you're one-sided with your knowledge of reality around you.
That may be so, but the Thieves Guild is up to no good. I whisper harshly at Cyrus.
Shh, they might hear you.
They're not up to good things.
I guess, but we need to figure this out because, or we don't have to figure this out. We just let Basil retire.
That is true. That is true. You don't have to do anything at all if you do not wish.
No, we can't let Sniffer beat us on this again. We cannot.
Again, I don't know who this
shove
guy
our face in
is.
the ground. Well, maybe
All right.
it's time for you to have a confrontation with Sniffer. Maybe you were the key to this problem.
Am I the
I mean, a drunk fire mage in a tavern, anything could happen.
yeah. Maybe I can, try to spark things up a bit. Maybe liven up the atmosphere inside there even more.
So Chatterton said, "Nothing bad will happen." It's totally safe. Is the plan,
Totally
therefore,
good.
to head back to your chosen abode and then to start to make some plans, or go and see the guards in the morning to try to decide what to do with that? Is that going to be the plan for the evening? You're all getting a bit chilly now that you stood out in the cold air. But you can join the queue if you wish. You can try to get in if you wish, or you could do whatever you wish, or you could just call it a night and then see what happens tomorrow morning.
I'm gonna probably do the latter. I have a bottle I get to ravage myself, so I'm probably just gonna drink it and
Okay.
hopefully make it home without passing out in a hog trough or something.
So is that going to be the plan that everybody's going to do, and then meet again tomorrow morning?
Wow, mine is getting drunk in a water trough, but
Andrew wants to go back to his hut and set some snares, and he wants to get some fresh meat.
That's so nice. It's really nice that some people are caring for Basil after all he's done. Well,
Team Basil.
you set off, and just as you walk your separate ways, and there's various glimpses and pieces of information that you actually ascertain as you go by. Could you roll for me your insight rolls? I want to see whether or not you actually notice anything strange or different as you set off. And just to let you know, these will be snippets of information that you won't be able to act on now, but you just get them as you go. Cyrus is on a roll here.
Hengist is as well. Hengist is very insightful tonight. And
Oh,
perceptive.
I didn't see that. Yeah, well,
He's got 12 out of 32. He's got a formidable.
but Bartleby, are you looking or not?
I'm debating because Bartleby's pretty furious right here that his plans have been thwarted. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and use one of my luck.
Okay, so you will get the insight. And what about Hazra?
Well, okay, he might not get the insight.
No, Andrew's
Oh,
very
you're switching
still-
it. Okay, got it.
Andrew's very still. He's in the city. He's not very insightful in the city.
Yeah, no, and you probably.
He's out of place. He's a little bit like, I just want to get out of here and go to my own place and just, yeah.
Very, very much
No,
so.
no.
Okay, so you all head up, and as you walk past the Sniffling Boar, past the people in the queue, you notice some things. And Hengist, the thing that you notice, and you're not 100% sure, but you notice that there's a lady in the queue. And she's got quite a heavy cloak on. And as you walk past, she suddenly lifts up the cowl, the hood of it, and almost like pulls one side forward to cover her face. But you glimpsed her just enough with your fantastic insight roll to actually see who it was. If you had failed, you would have got this without the knowledge of who it actually was. And it's somebody that you know.
Oh,
It's-
a woman.
I only know 2 women, so.
And one of them's
Actually,
dead.
Cyrus does know a lot of
One of
women.
them's dead?
Which of the 2 women you know?
Harmony Lee and Ika Macduff.
Well, yeah, you haven't seen Ike McDuff for quite
In a
some
very long time.
Yeah.
But they're the only 2 women he knows.
With your successful insight, so without that
What
success,
about your sister?
you wouldn't know. You would just got the scene. But yeah, you're pretty sure it was Harmony Lee. The head, well, the supposed head of House of Galot at the moment, and she sort of like walks past. Bartleby, as you walk past or you go past the lines, you suddenly notice that in the line of less well-known people, in the purple line, you actually do see a lot of your congregation there, and they sort of like see you, and they sort of like genuflect, or they sort of say, "Oh, evening, Mr. Priest Acolyte Bartleby. We're just meeting friends here. We're not doing anything else." And they sort of like they almost like feel the need to start pleasant conversation up with you. And you sort of like talk to them, and you go over and pass the time of day, and they sort of like talk about the Sniffling Boar as a very reputable place, a very good place, a very moral place, and very popular, really nice ale and fine wine and brilliant food, very clean, very posh. And they actually say things like they're lucky that it's being open to people like them. And there definitely seems to be some kind of class distinction here. And there's one more thing that you actually see. And you're busy talking, and somebody or something passes behind you. And it's what you hear that makes you turn and look, because walking past you, there's suddenly this sniff, this sound that brings back age-old sleepless nights out in the wilderness. And as you're talking to them, you sort of like look out to one side, and yeah, Annalyn's assistant, Tiffin,
Sniffin' Tiffin.
yes, walks past, clutching what seems to be a box or a small coffer, and walks up to the guards, and the guards sort of like say evening and open the door for her, and she carries her stuff in. And at that moment, Cyrus, as the door opens, and this young girl who seems to be some kind of troll king, she's sort of like a miniature goblin. She doesn't look good at all. And you sort of like, the door opens, and you sort of like take a shifty glance inside, and you do not believe who's in there, because you see very, very clearly entertaining a group of 3 or 4 other people. You see Melanie, your red robe magician sorcerer friend, with
friend. Oh, okay.
3 or 4 other red robed sorcerers that you recognize but don't know their names, because your order's quite extensive, laughing and joking. And somebody comes over, what appears to be a barmaid comes over and puts a new pitcher of wine down on the table. And you just hear, because of your crit there, for a moment, it's almost as if you just catch some words as they drift out. And the words you hear is say, the barmaid snigger and smile and says, "Usual compliments of the owner," and puts the wine down on the table. And you sort of like carry on walking, and the door closes, and yeah, you get that piece of
Get
information.
that scene.
Yeah. Okay.
Good.
So that brings us to 8:30. So this is the time that we're going to take our break. So we normally take a 10-minute break. This also, as well as allowing us to stretch our legs, etc., allows the players to suddenly think, what are they going to do now? So they've got a bit of thinking time before they come back live to decide what they're going to do. And we'll start the next part of the session after 10 minutes, that we will be in the you can decide where you want to meet. Okay, whether or not you want to meet at Hairy Hobgoblin or somewhere else in town, or decide where you want to meet and what your plan is going to be from there.
You could always meet for breakfast at Hengist's.
Oh yes, there's a
Yeah.
so
Worry, Cyrus, there is a very firm lock on the cellar door for the wine.
locks are no problem for Cyrus. Cyrus
Figures them out.
has just burned the door around it. So all you'll see is the metal
Be there
locks.
a long time. It's made out of concrete.
Okay, we're going to take a 10-minute break, so we will be back at 41 minutes past or 22 the hour. Until then, go and stretch your legs, grab some drinks, grab some nibbles, and we will see you back here in 10 minutes. See you soon.
No,
Disapproval.
don't want
I'm
that.
out now. Get it all out
Disapproval.
now.
Disapproval, Medivac.
63 kilograms, 63 calories.
Disapproval.
What is that? Popcorn? Did you say?
He's
Yeah,
got lightweight
it's,
popcorn.
Lightweight popcorn.
Oh yeah, it's nice.
Disapproval.
So we left.
Condemnation.
We're talking about popcorn. We left the first part of the session with the characters going home, resting in their usual places, and then arranging to meet the next day at a suitable place. So is there... So Bunny Bucks said, "Ooh, snuggly kangaroo."
It's cold, guys. It's like below freezing here.
Well,
It's cold.
if you will get rid of
You're
Trump,
American.
he brought all the light and
Yeah.
joy and warmth to your country. And now that he's gone.
Yeah. America's always hot. What are you on about? It's like Barbados.
Yeah, it was on fire. That's
So,
yeah. So it was kind of hot. Yeah.
You're
where
never happy.
is there a place that you would like to meet the next day? Are you going to Hengiz's or are you meeting somewhere? What's going to be the plan? I just need a
I'll also be
location.
very excited for breakfast at Hengist's.
Yeah, I enjoy the idea of free breakfast at Hengist.
Okay then.
Yeah, I like that.
So, as
Give me
you
Arthur.
Hazra, you're obviously out in the countryside and sort of like head back towards Lindowe. And one thing you notice, and you're not too sure whether or not this is a different from yesterday or different from beforehand, before you left Lindowe, but there seems to be more traffic on the roads. Now, I'm not talking about 15 carts. Normal traffic would be one. But there definitely seems to be more, 2 or 3 on the road. And when you actually get to the northern gate to go into Lindowe, which is your normal entry point, you do see that there's 4 carts of produce. You can see that there's things like barrels of mead or something like that. You can see there's boxes of fruit and vegetables, etc., and they seem to be lined up awaiting entrance, and the only thing that they're waiting for is the guards are sort of like taking a meticulous account of what's coming in, and you sort of like walk past there and think, that is not
Not right.
Yeah.
He's never had to.
Yeah, and so you notice that Cyrus, you make your way to Hengist's house, mansion, because he lives in a very grand. Hengist is not. It might actually be, Cyrus, something that you might aspire to. He's got.
Oh, really?
He's got a big house. He's got staff. He's got
Staff.
Yes, he does. He has his own butler, and then he has. So when Hengist invites you, Cyrus, for breakfast, Hengist is not cooking. Hengist is not making anything or doing. Hengist just arrives in the parlor or in the entrance hall from just being washed and dressed by fair maidens, and comes down with his hair braided all ready and looking with a crisp white linen shirt on, etc. And you
said the only time he eats with the help is when he's getting sage advice from the butler.
yeah. And you know, Cyrus, Hengist is quite wealthy. You're not too sure about all the other all the other responsibilities that go along with the wealth, but he's certainly wealthy. And
So now I know who to approach for my gambling addiction.
well, interesting, yes. And Hengist, you're a little bit late going down to the entrance hall, the atrium, to meet your guests for breakfast. Although breakfast will be prepared and laid out as to your wishes, probably with no morning wine or alcohol being served, if that is your wish, or would you like alcohol to be served?
No, alcohol doesn't have a place at breakfast.
Yeah. Okay.
Hair of the dog.
And however, you're a little bit late going down, Hengist, because there's been a message sent over for you. Now, as you're aware, reading and writing are not your strong points, but
They're not at any point.
yeah, but
Hengist.
it's interesting that this has obviously been taken into account, because what's been
It's not in pictures, is it?
no, well, it's actually been sent over by a foot person or a minor stable hand or something that sort of like comes over to your house. And obviously he doesn't go to the main door, he goes to the servant's entrance, and Alfred sort of like brings him into your presence, almost like with the back of his hand round the
scruff of the neck.
well, just holding him, not pulling him up, and then Alfred says, "Go on then, boy, tell the master." And he goes, "Please, sir, can I have?" No, he doesn't. And he's sort of like, I was going to Oliver, "Please, sir, can I have some
know.
more?" Yeah. Anyway, and
If he'd asked, Hengist probably would have sent him down to the kitchen.
yeah. He says, "Cheer up, Captain. I haven't eaten in 8 days. Share a bit of ham." And anyway, he comes up and he tells you the message. And the message is that Harmony Lee has been taken ill. And the servant boy has been sent to you because you are aware, or she is aware, that you have a medical, a friend in the church who might have healing powers. And the boy sort of like says, she doesn't want this to go to the common garden quacks or healers. If you remember, Bartleby, you had a really interesting interaction with one when the person had been clawed by something, and she was trying to spit in the wounds or chew up things and stick it in to stop them breathing and bleeding. And it's sort of like says, come at your earliest convenience, in so many words. Yeah. And you get this, and then Alfred shows out the young ruffian, this stable hand, as you meet your guest, Hasra looking very out of place. Cyrus looking slightly. Roll your willpower, Cyrus. I'm just wondering.
It's been a while, guys. It's been a while since I've had to prove that that I probably should enjoy sobriety sometime.
Oh, and you it's a shame it wasn't.
The second. What?
Okay. You actually managed to keep everything in moderation last night, and so
I feel like I should look good. Like I should wow, is he wearing makeup? Like
you actually went home and went straight to bed, and got up early and actually did some exercising and things like that.
Did some slight meditation.
Yeah, but you're sort of like trying to portray this feeling of,
this aura that the day is mine.
Yeah, and that you were drinking all night. But if anybody would like to roll an insight to see whether or not they can tell whether or not Cyrus hasn't been drinking all night, and he would be hard to beat because his willpower, of course, is a critical roll. So you would have to get a crit and get higher than a 1 on your insight. So
yeah, guys, good luck.
Yeah. So Hasra could do it with a skill of 20, couldn't he? Because he could roll a crit and get 2. And I actually
No.
Hengist doesn't need to roll because Hengist knows that Cyrus is never far from a bottle.
No.
Yeah, so and
If anything, he's peering around your kitchen right now, probably trying to find another.
Hengist has left a message with the cook and Alfred not to let you anywhere near that wine cellar.
What the cooking wine? Can I have the cooking one?
yeah, and
No, that's been locked up as well.
if you sort of like try to stray off in a random direction, Cyrus, to investigate, you suddenly find that Alfred is there.
Just looking for the bathroom.
May I help you, sir? The bathroom. It's up the stairs and to the right, sir. And please let us know when we have to change the chamber pot, and thank you. And Bartleby arrives slightly later than everybody else. And Bartleby, I'm going to tell you, and the rest of you, you will hear it. I'm not too sure whether or not Bartleby will want to tell you or not, but I'll tell Bartleby, but then I trust your role-playing skills to not mention it or sort of like, Bartleby, did you have a fun morning? Anything happen? You know, and things like that. Bartleby, just as you left your church, because you sleep in your accommodation within the church itself, and you headed off, then a bluebird came up to you with a note, and the note they sort of like said, oh, I've been told to deliver this to you, and you sort of like say, from who? And they sort of like say, I'm sorry, they paid for that confidentiality, and you know that bluebirds are quite strict with this. The minute one actually shares some gossip, the whole system would fall apart. And hands you a piece of parchment folded in half, and you open it up, and there's very few words written down, and it's sort of like, it's quite to the point. It starts off with your name. It says Bartleby, and then it says, I think we can work together. Meet me outside the Sniffling Boar at noon today. And that's all it says. It's not signed by anything. It just says that I think we can work together. Meet me outside the Sniffling Boar at noon today.
Sniffer. No, it's him. I think to myself, I don't say it.
Okay. Yeah, are you going to relate this note to the rest of the party over breakfast?
Yes, because this is troubling, and Bartleby, after having at least one piece of bread with jam, hopefully on it, would
There's probably
kind of
two
bring
types
this
of
up.
jam.
And Hengist also keeps bees, so there's
There
fine
is
quality
also
honey.
beans. There's honey, eggs, probably some bacon.
Yeah, you can hear the pig being slaughtered just in the background. Fresh off the bone. You saw that, you can hear go.
Bartleby's been to Hengist's
Nothing
house
like
a few
blood
times
right now.
before, so he could probably ask for almost anything,
Yeah, sir, and
and the cook would provide it.
everything's in fine china, and there's lovely fertility figurines dotted around the place, Bartleby, that you.
Oh, that one's new.
And yeah, and yes, so Hengist and, well, all of you might have something that you would like to share. Is the idea that you're going to share it between everyone, or are there going to be different captions or different interpretations of the story? It's up to you.
What are you hiding, Mr. Pickles?
Well, Bartleby would want to pass the note itself, because I presume Bartleby was given that and he can keep that.
Yeah,
That's how the
yeah.
bluebirds work. So I'd pass that to Cyrus, presuming he can read, as he is a sorcerer after all, and then explain to the rest of the party that I've been requested by an unknown person who paid for their name to not be attached to meet at noon. And who could be a person who thinks that they can work with me now?
Just
Sniffer.
It's interesting because you remember when Sniffer first attacked us, did you not get a note then? Or did we not get a note from Sniffer? Does the scratchings on the paper look like the same ones from that, or can you remember?
Cyrus, roll your literacy skill.
Which exists, I assume.
Just not on my character sheet.
Not unless you put in points to it, which I don't think you have.
Honestly, this handwriting is abysmal. I can't even read this chicken scratch.
Yeah, so roll your deception then.
Damn it! All right, we'll see.
Deceit, sorry.
Yeah, we'll see. Come on, baby.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm going to roll my luck on this one because I want to maintain
some
their
air
view
of
of me.
dignity.
Yeah.
We're all hovering with our insight buttons, by the way.
Yeah.
Damn it! All right, I can do this. Use my luck. Come on, baby. Come on.
You got this. You
You're going down in tens.
Oh,
Yeah, so the rest of you, probably only Bartleby actually, because the rest of you would be listening to Bartleby. Bartleby, just roll your insight. Are you leaving it or are you looking it?
No! Leave it!
I wanna luck it actually. There's no way I'm gonna win this. You'll be fine.
You're gonna go. Oh, bacon.
Yes!
Yeah, and Cyrus sort of like listens to you, Bartleby, explain it to the other, and he sort of like nods and sort of like hands you back the parchment. There you go. Bartleby, just roll insight to answer Hazra's question for him, because he's asking you whether or not it looks the same as before. That's what you need.
That's what I'm paying attention to. I could care less if you're illiterate.
Yeah, it looks different.
Yeah, because the old one was like somebody carved it with a hatchet almost.
Yeah.
That kind of.
And this one's this one's a lot more elegant. I think
Yeah.
they were flowing. Yeah.
Though it could be that the notes we were given before were sent more by lackeys rather than sniffers.
Well, it could be lackeys that don't know how to read or write. You know, the lowest of the low sort of people like sorcerers can read and write.
No, like merchants.
Merchants can read and write, I assure you.
And count.
My thing here is that if it's a letter from Sniffer, I cannot believe that he would not want to have a hand in this. So I think he would have wanted to write the letter himself when giggling to himself about how clever he is.
I don't know the guy.
I wondered what that was against your microphone. It was.
I'm sorry. My cat is trying her best to knock the webcam down again. She's like making beelines for it. Trying to use deceit. It's not working.
No, it's not working. Go away. Hengist, are you going to share your news with the party?
Not with the party. He'll try and grab Bartleby at the end of the meal when the others are leaving the room. He'll take that opportunity to sort of like say, "Have you got a moment, Bartleby?"
Yeah. Okay then. So
as the others are being ushered out of the room, probably by Alfred or
yeah. So
something at the end.
So if we say that you spend the breakfast concocting plans, what's going to be your actual plan? So Hengist is going to tell Bartleby about the letter, and then Bartleby, are you going to the meeting place at noon?
I do have a quick question, just to clarify what it said on the note. Did it say meet alone?
It didn't mention the word alone, but you do figure that meeting outside the Sniffling Boar is a very public place, and the meeting is at noon, which is probably a very busy time, you know, even in Lindowe. So it didn't
say it behind the place, so off the main road?
No,
right?
it just said
it's out in front?
Yeah. And that's what sounds very peculiar about it. You know, if this was a shady meeting, then it'll probably be down at the docks and in a dark alley somewhere. But it was very clear. Now, of course, I don't wish to sort of like worry you, but this would also be a perfect time for another hit on you, like what happened last time. So it could be that, and you remember this. You remember it quite clearly that somebody came to escort you, and then the attack happened. And this would be a very public place, but as you know from the area, there's plenty of high rooftops around. On somebody walking past and slipping a dagger into your belly would probably go unnoticed for a while. In this sort of like area. So you are aware, especially what Hazra has said as well. This feeling that, is this connected to the last time or not? It seems very peculiar.
Well, I think Amriel will protect me in cases of that.
Are you casting Angus Shield then, is it?
I might, but I think it would be wise to see whoever sent this note, and it would be wise to have Hazar watching over me like a hawk on a branch, and Angus close by, and maybe a sorcerer drinking on a bench down the other way, so that perhaps. I don't know what you guys know more about ambushes and warfare. Perhaps you guys know a way to keep me from.
Unless the note specifically says to come alone, I say we go with you.
Yeah.
To be fair, if Hasdra had heard the note, well, he has heard the note, he would have still tailed Bartleby.
Oh, Angus would have got it anyway as well.
So
good to know.
Let's say then that you discuss the plans for the meet, and so rather than spending some time talking about it, let's move time on. So Bartleby is coming to the meet at 12 noon. Where will the others want to be? Hazra, I think do you have a climbing skill?
I do, but I'd rather go into if it's going to be the opposite the boar. Then I'm going to go into Basil's and go to the top floor and look through the window.
Got
the view on Bartleby.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. So you're in there on the first floor. Remember there's the shutter windows. So
is an attic to this as well, or not? Can I go onto the roof at all, or?
It doesn't. It hasn't had an attic. It has a cellar rather than an attic. So, but I mean, you're on the second floor. I mean, if you wish, you can try to shimmy out the window and go on top of the roof if that would be more desirable.
Yes, yeah, I'd like to have a good clear view of all the alleyways you see around, as well as.
Okay, then. So, what is your climbing skill? Acrobatics or athletics, or do you have a separate skill? Normally, it's
athletics.
Yeah, it normally comes under
just athletics.
Yeah, it normally comes under athletics, so that's fine. Yeah. So just give me a roll. You're not going to fall or anything like that. I just want to see how stylish you do. Oh yeah, you scamper up there so well, and you sort of like reminds you when you were hiding behind the chimney pot when you were guarding the merchants and things like that, and you almost like sit up there thinking, oh, deja vu. Okay, so Cyrus and Hengist, what's going to be your plans?
I think Cyrus probably wants to lay low, and he also wants the chance to show his skills. I'm thinking maybe grabbing some handcuffs or something, handcuffing him maybe at Basil's bar, and switching bodies with like a bouncer.
Okay, so one of the bouncers that are outside switching so
exactly.
Attaching your body to a handcuff, handcuff to something, and then and
possibly maybe even maybe I'll have one of the guys blindfold me, so I don't know where I'm at.
Yeah, I have a funniest feeling that you need line of sight.
It's possible. I don't remember.
Yeah. But there's another thorn in the plan for this, and you notice it as you saw like start to get. I just need to know what Hengist is doing.
Hengist is standing just behind Bartleby.
Okay, so you're going with Bartleby. That's brilliant. So the first thing that you notice as you probably come down, I'm thinking a little bit earlier than noon. You know, you've got two people who are very acute and very knowledgeable about strategies, and so everybody sort of like gets into position straight away. Hazra, you're up on the roof, and you do notice that it's quite busy here. But I do want you to roll for me, please, a perception check. Normally it would be harder in this town, but because of the height where you are, you've got quite a nice view. So it's just going to be a standard roll. Yeah. Yeah, very easy. That's a nice crit. But you sort of like are keeping an eye out. And just to let you know, if anything suspicious or anybody starts to walking around them, you will see them at some distance. Okay. Cyrus, you're sort of like in the doorway of the Hairy Hobgoblin, and Basil's away. But the first thing you all realise as you come down is that the scene is completely different from last night. So there's absolutely no queues outside the door. The door's shut. The windows are shut. They seem to have their shutters closed on them. There's no bouncers outside at all. There's nobody guarding the door. The door it's quite a hefty door. As you walk past, so like the scoping the place out before you come back to it, it's quite hefty, and it definitely looks like it's oak, maybe. Very strong. And you also notice, quite unusually for Lindowe, and Hengist, you notice this from all your warfare training, it's actually metal bound. So it has two really sort of like hinges that come out, but where the wood meets plank to plank, there's actually strips of metal down those parts as if it's reinforced. And the other thing that you notice, there is a keyhole there, and there seems to be some kind of a latch mechanism as well on the outside. But as you sort of like approach and walk past to sort of like suss it out, it looks as if it's shut up, or it's not open at all. Is there anything that anybody else would like to do before 12 o'clock noon?
So Hengist wanted to catch Bartleby just after breakfast to tell him about the note he got from Harmony.
Oh yes, good point.
Harmony Lee. And then he was going to say, Bartleby, I had a message from the head of my house, Harmony Lee, and she, via me, was requesting your assistance. Apparently she was unwell, so I was hoping if we could go to her this morning before we meet this chap of yours outside the Sniffling Boar.
Time permitting. Otherwise, we'll have to meet afterwards. There's a lot of jam that we tried at this breakfast. I don't know exactly. Close to afternoon.
He's still got sticky fingers.
I assume it would be something rather urgent if she was asking. I haven't spoken to her since her husband died.
For obvious reasons.
Yes.
But she was rather praising of your skill, and
Drama.
didn't want to risk one of the street doctors.
Oh, that's fair. There's a old lady whipping an injured man with nettles to try and cure him of the hybrid wounds.
I don't think that was actually mentioned. I don't think there was any whipping with nettles.
I think that you had mentioned. I was glad she didn't do that. Which means some people do that somewhere, and we can't let that happen.
Certainly do.
So if we have time, Bartleby would be agreeable to going over there.
Okay then. So anything else that anybody wants to do or say before the meet takes place?
I would imagine Hazra and I are probably gonna be together if
Are you going?
Longshanks-
Are you going up on the roof then?
Yeah, but I'm also, if I even have to purchase, I'm Peter. All right, even if I have to purchase handcuffs or whatnot, or a blindfold, we might do this from above so no one can see like
So
the bound up body, my
the
bound up body.
the handcuffs you buy are thick rope. That's what would pass. So yeah, I mean, people can tie you. Are you going up on the roof with Hazra?
Yeah. The
Okay.
point would be that hopefully I'm at an angle in which I can see a bouncer or something.
Yeah. So you can probably either you could be next to Hazra. Just roll your athletic skill just to shimmy.
Can I roll my acrobatics instead?
I don't think you can because I think climbing comes under athletics rather than acrobatics, but I will check.
All right. Some flips up the wall.
Some slips up the wall, did you say?
Flips. I'm gonna do some flips up the wall. You know, I'm essentially I'm just trying to say I'm kind of like Spider-Man my way up there.
Yeah,
That's all.
I can imagine.
I like the slipping better. Just whoops. I'm on the roof.
Whoopsie daisy.
Right. Let's just have a look. You can just roll a d. Just roll your acrobatics or athletics. I'll decide later on. I just want to see whether or not you. Yeah, you sort of like no matter what the skill is, you quite easily shimmer up. And Hazra, you're quite pleased. You know, yeah, it's all like you almost like think you've got a kindred spirit here. And Hazra, you see this first, okay, and almost like shortly, almost as if the local clock in Lindowe strikes noon, you see coming down from the north, straight towards Bartleby and Hengist coming down. You see a very familiar figure, a figure that you've seen numerous times before, and he's actually alone, and he comes up, and before you, Bartleby and Hengist, stands Annalyn.
That makes
Hey,
sense.
Sniffer. I'm sorry.
And he sort of like waves his hand and sort of like flourishes a bow and says, "Oh, Mr. Bartleby, so pleased to see you. How have you been?"
I've been well. Been traveling quite a bit, but the sermons have gone nicely. It's been a while. How is your assistant Tiffin
Oh,
doing?
she is always stubborn, ignorant, and full of snot.
Sounds about right. And yourself?
Oh, I am absolutely fantastic. Hengist, you're looking mighty proud. You're looking very prim and proper and very gallant. I hear that you are up for the leader of the next house as house leader for House Galot. How wonderful that may be. Please do feel free to invite me to any of your evening soirees. I would love to attend.
I will keep that in mind.
Oh, that is so
and
kind
you
of
seem
you.
to be doing well for yourself as well.
Yes. Cyrus and Hazra, you won't be hearing this conversation, but you'll probably be related back to you at a later
No,
date.
it's fine. Yeah.
And Annalyn sort of like looks around and says, "Is it just you two?"
For the moment.
Yes, I didn't want to meet that rather fiery friend of yours. To be quite honest with you, he frankly scared me so much last time. You might have noticed I changed location of my business.
Indeed. And I am terribly sorry for
Because you're a
the fiery
cheat.
nature of the sorcerer that often joins us.
But I am I understand you all. I know what is here, and I have a really profitable business now in the Sniffling Boar, but, we are friends. We are, well, for the majority of us, we are friends. I saw that young lad, Gulliver, the other day. Yes. He said something about going away for a long period of time. I'm not too sure where, but he seemed very keen. Hasn't grown much since I last saw him, but hey-ho, we can't have everything. Are you a business sort of person, Mr. Bartleby?
My father was, but myself, I was never as much of a businessman as him. Why do you ask?
Because, quite frankly, I would like to strike a deal. A business proposal.
With my group of friends?
Well, more than between myself and, shall we say, the Hairy Hobgoblin.
This would be something I'd be entirely interested in. I know Basil Earless misses your presence in his establishment.
Well, yes.
What do you have in mind?
Well, unfortunately, I no longer felt safe in the Hairy Hobgoblin. You might have remembered the certain interaction that happened there, and to be quite frankly, it has scarred me rather dramatically. I have sleepless nights now, and so I had no choice but to move across the street. But I must say, I was presented with a very well-to-do deal with the owner of the Sniffling Boar. But anyway, back to business. We are friends, Bartleby Hengers, are we not?
We are indeed.
My part, yes.
Yes. So I have a proposition for you. In my part, I will come back and work once again in the Hairy Hobgoblin. As you can imagine, my friends would come back along with me, and everything will be absolutely fine. However, there are some, shall I say, conditions for my return.
Oh, and what are they?
Well, number one, maybe some form of protection for myself and my young apprentice. We would be going against the owner of the Sniffling Boar, and although I, want our friendship to continue, I do not feel that being on the wrong side of the owner would be good, if you get my drift. I am very fond of my fingers, toes, and neck. Well, actually, very fond of my whole life.
You're afraid of the owner of the Sniffling Boar?
Well, I wouldn't say afraid, more wary. I understand how he can be. Oh, and enough. Anyway, some more conditions to be met. I'm after some boar dung, the details of which are not actually needs to be transferred and talked about. But anyway, I am working on a certain tonic, and I know that you have a master tracker in your midst, somebody who can probably smell a robin fart from a distance of a couple of miles. He's so keen and able to track, and well, the boar dung that I need is from a female boar, and you would need to track her to the den and then bring the boar from inside. I know your friend Hengist here is extremely capable to skewer a wild boar if need arises. So yes, and there's one more thing that I would need.
And what is that?
And you notice a grin
Viruses.
across his face appears. I will, of course, need a written and public apology from your friend who assaulted me in the Hairy Goblin. I think his name is Signet, but I'm not quite sure. Or it could be Cyst. This is now I've spoken about it. How?
I know who you're speaking of, and I think we might be able to meet these conditions. Whenever we've asked Hazra for dung, he's always responded with how many burlap sacks. So that shouldn't be an issue.
I
And
can smell bull from up here.
can I ask though, why do you want to go back to? I mean, beyond our friendship, it seems that you're doing so much better in the lively Sniffling Boar than.
Yes, well, shall we just say, I don't like the, how can one put it, interference with either my products or my cash flow. There is a very heavy, shall we say, duty to pay, which is not leaving me with the best, well, profit margins.
Understood. Yeah, that can make that deal unsavory.
Do you think we'll be able to meet? You'll be able to meet these simple 3 requirements?
I believe we will, but I'll need to confer with my allies, make sure that, I mean, Hazra will know for sure if the female boars are in this area or if they've moved on.
There are. Remember, Bart will be the noble hunting grounds that when I participated in the boar hunts, so we know that there are normal boar in the area.
They wouldn't travel on like a herd. Leave.
Well,
yeah,
that's a good place to start.
Yes. We'll need to talk with our allies. Perhaps we can meet later so that we can confirm for sure whether or not we'll be able to meet these conditions.
I do have one more sweetener to the deal. And
Okay.
this might be, you might want to keep these, this part, as your trump card, to bring out at that moment to sweeten the deal. Because you see, I can do one more thing that I have a funniest feeling you might actually desire. And he looks around and he looks from side to side and he leans in and he says, I can arrange a meeting for you with the owner of the Sniffling Boar.
Well, that cuts to the chase right there. That's very good to know that you're willing to do that.
Of course. Anyway, I have fruit to squash and liquids to distill. And, you know, I should not leave Tiffin in charge of a Bunsen burner for any longer than is purely desired. You know what happened last time. Yes, well, we'll keep that a secret. So, yes, hopefully send me a bluebird with your
Indeed.
responses and we can talk about it. And the next time you come and bring me the boar dung and the apology.
Yeah, the apology and
He
the board.
he grins across his face and does a flourish and walks away. And you're not too sure, but he might just have a skip in his walk. So people who are watching the stream who want to know, Annalyn is an alchemist. He set up business in the Hairy Hobgoblin. The party actually did some work for him when they went off and went to Grandma's and got attacked, and then went off and got some milkweed and returned. And that was all successful, and they got to meet Tiffin's apprentice, a young troll-like lady called Tiffin. Sniffing Tiffin. And of course Cyrus had an altercation with Annalyn at the beginning of the last adventure. And Annalyn goes tripping off.
Hengist, this is going to be a difficult one.
Fine. It'll be fine, Bartleby. It'll be fine.
You two are right in front of the actual building. There's people walking by, etc. Is there anything you would like to do while you're down this close? Hazra, you see Annalyn walk off, and then he seems to turn down an alleyway, but you do notice that there's nobody following him. There seems to be no. This is what your perception roll was for as well. Nobody seems to be following him or keeping an eye on him. It seems to be all very kosher.
And there's still no sign of movement from the building opposite, from the Sniffling Boar.
No, nothing at all. It's noon at the moment. Bartleby and Hengist are right there. Is there anything that you two would like to do while you're down?
Is it supposed to be open right now?
No.
No.
You've never known it to be open during the day. It tends to open on the evening. About 7, 8 o'clock.
Did I notice the person they were talking to?
Yeah, you're up on the roof, so you would recognise Annalyn as he came up, and there was an exchange of words that neither you or Hazra. Yeah. So Bartleby and Hengist, just before we move on, is there anything that you want to do while you're down here and you've got a pair of guards, a pair of eagles perched in an eyrie, keeping an eye on you? What would you like to do?
So Hengist will do two things. He will see if he can peer through one of the windows to see what's inside.
Yeah.
It's set up like inside. And then he will try and have a wander around the back after that as well.
Good. What about Bartleby? Are you doing the same, going with Hengist or what?
Bartleby doesn't want to draw extra attention to Hengist, so he's going to let Hengist do his look around. Bartleby will make it back to the Hairy Hobgoblin to meet up with his crew.
Okay then. So Hengist, just roll a perception roll for me. So
I'm going to use a point of luck.
Wow. You do realise it's 9:30. We don't finish till 10.
This is important. I'm assuming this is linked to what he sees around the thing, so it's an important role.
Okay then. If you get higher, he makes a perception roll.
That's 2 out of 2. Hengist has made tonight in perception.
One did take a luck point though.
No, what are you talking about?
So you.
That was my original roll.
Good re-roll, chat is saying. So you make your way round the building, and the first thing that you notice is that there's not even a slight gap in these shutters. They fit absolutely perfectly. And you do notice that as you get closer to them, you do notice that these two are a bit like the door. They seem to be reinforced. Okay? And you go round the back, and there is a back door, and you just round, I'll just move you to where it is, round here. This is where all the waste stuff is and the spare food, etc., that is out and about. And there's actually another door just here. It's a lot smaller than the other door, but it is shut, and this one looks, the front door looks as if it was made like that. This one looks like it's been updated like that.
Okay.
You do notice that in the junk pile around the back, there's the old, what you assume is the old sign for the shop. It's like a spool of cotton with a bit like a flourish of a line that would represent thread and a needle at the end. And that's all it has. It has no words because the majority of Lindowe don't read. But you can see it's probably maybe a tailor's or some kind of fabric shop. You also notice that as you sort of like move it and see it, there's a couple of rats here. Okay, but they're dead. And I mean, that's not unusual in Lindowe. But the interesting thing about the two rats is that they both seem to have had their throats slashed. They seem to be quite big wounds on them. Roll your strategy skill. I want to know whether or not you see what kind of weapon. Yeah, probably a small blade. A small blade, maybe a dagger. But one thing that you're not actually touching them, but one thing, they look like rigor mortis has set in and the blood is congealed around it. But a very decisive stroke, a very purposeful stroke, and a very sharp stroke. I mean, you can see that they're cut virtually back to the neck, the spine at the back. So it's not sort of like a little nick. And they're both just sort of like lying there, thrown onto a pile of rubbish or old food. There's one more thing that you see just round this corner. There's no exit round here at all. There's a couple of windows that seem to be on the second floor, and they are closed. You can't see in it. And from this distance, you're not too sure whether or not they're barred or reinforced like the other one. But you do notice as you turn round the corner that there's another pile of what you assume is rubbish. But when you get a little bit closer to it, it's not rubbish. It seems to be some kind of clothing. There seems to be a bundle, as if it's been bundled together and put here. It seems completely out of place here. It just seems to be as if it's been taken off and discarded here, and it's just left. Do you want to touch it, move it, explore it, anything?
Yeah, so Hengist will move it aside to see if there's anything, if it's more cloth underneath or what.
So you are you moving it with your foot, with your sword? What's going to be the plan?
Hengist will just because he's wearing armored mittens, so he'll just use his hands to sort of like grab it and move it aside. So
you sort of like crouch down and sort of like move it to side. And the first thing that you notice about this clothing is that it's not peasant clothing. It's definitely that of a woman, and it's definitely something that is finely tailored. It looks really like some kind of ball gown and a heavy cloak, and there's no shoes with it. There's like underclothes and petticoats and bloomers, all sort of like as if it's been taken off and then just sort of like bundled together and almost like thrown out the back. And you can sort of like see it there. It just doesn't seem to be anything in it or anything like that.
At that point, Hengist is going to stand up and he's going to go back around to the street and he's going to try and find Bartleby or Ezra or Cyrus, whoever he sees first, and then he'll just call out to them.
Yeah, and as you sort of like stand up and go to leave, you hear a voice, a rather crackling old voice, and say, "Do you want that?" And you sort of like look around, and there's this toothless hag of a woman, bent double, propped up on a cane. You've probably seen more dirt in a grassy field. Sorry, less dirt on a grassy field than you have on her. She's also got one eye that seems to be missing, and it looks like it's been crudely sewn together. You can still see some of the stitching hanging out, but out of the one corner there seems to be some kind of yellow pus oozing out of it. And he says, "Are you going to keep those?"
Hengist will spin round
And slice her head off. No,
and say, yes, I think I will actually.
"Well, I did see them before you." And she takes to a hobbling step closer to them.
Hengist will take a step forward back to them and say, "I saw them first," and he's just going to stoop to pick them up.
"Are you making fun of my lost eye? Of course you saw them first. You have two eyes. I am weak and feeble and have only one." And she sort of like looks down and looks back at you and says, "I don't think those bloomers will fit you, my dear. They would look perfect round my hairy legs and round rump of a bum."
They're not for me, but here. And then he will, with his other hand, he'll get his coin purse out and pass her over like 3 or 4 silver coins.
Only 4? In exchange for these really nice clothes? Surely you good sir should see a little bit more of generosity to the poor. I do believe it comes back several-fold.
What Ariel say?
He will put another 4 in her palm and say, "I'm sure this is."
Yeah, she got long fingernails that are actually orange in colour and cracked, and you sort of like put them in a hand.
He drops them in the middle of her palm.
Yeah, and she's
touching her hands.
She sort of like brings it towards her good eye and sort of like looks at it like this and says, "All right." She says, "For a few more silver, I could tell you who left them there."
He will put another 8.
And she sort of like opens her mouth, and you can see her blackened gums, and her breath as it comes round seems to be knocking birds over left, right, and centre, even as they fly around. They're just dropping, and she goes, "Oh," she says, "would you like to know who left it there?"
Yes, please.
And she counts the silver coins and puts them into her pouch, and she comes really close and says, "It was a woman." And goes,
Wow.
And she splatters out a bit of what appears to be a mixture of phlegm and blood, and she sort of like goes, she turns around to you and says, "Have a good day, kind sir," and goes around clutching her coins to her hand. Nobody saw you. Hengist, nobody saw you.
Hengist will just shake his head, bundle up the rest of the clothes so that they're in a nice bundle, and then he will walk back around and try and locate the others.
Well, Bartleby is stood out there,
Well,
trying
in that case, he'll go up to Bartleby.
trying to look inconspicuous as people walk by and say, "Morning, Acolyte Bartleby. How's it, Acolyte Fumis? How's it going?" And somebody else says, "It doesn't open till nightfall." And somebody else saying, "I don't know why a man of the cloth is being stood outside a place of such ill repute."
And Bartleby just looks very puzzled.
Bless me. Bless you, you're my sister.
Bless.
Okay, so let's...
So once Hengist gets round, he'll fill everyone in once they've met, and he'll explain what is found, and that it was a woman who left them there, so it wasn't Sniffer, because that was his main concern, that it was Sniffer murdering. But he'd also mentioned the exsanguinated
Hengist,
the murdered rats.
Hengist, just roll an insight roll. Yeah, you think she might have just been trying to get money out of you.
Oh, that's fine.
You don't. She just,
Yeah.
That's fine.
A woman looked up.
So you're all back in the Hairy Hobgoblin. Bartleby and Hengist, you were talking about going to see Harmony Lee, but Bartleby, do you want to share with Hazra and Cyrus the deal you have just struck?
Yes, because I actually got some very good news, and it's actually worth celebrating. I know it's early, but perhaps, I mean, Cyrus may as well have a drink to celebrate. Hazard too, if you like.
No,
Are you
you're
paying?
not doing this time of day, but what news is this?
All of our problems are going to be solved. We're going to get Sniffer back. Right, Hengist?
Not only Sniffer back, but we're going to get the Hairy Hobgoblin back the way it was as well.
Exactly.
What do you mean you're going to get Sniffer back?
I think before we discuss this, as is tradition in my faith, I think it would be appropriate to have a prayer over the news we're about to give. Everybody join in with me. Bartleby would like to cast a prayer spell.
Can I just say, please?
Cyrus is gonna put his legs up and start drinking.
That Annelin was talking to you. I saw him. I saw Annelin from the rooftop perch that I was on.
Yeah, what
has
is
he
that
got to
cock
do
one?
with- Yeah, no.
He's going to be the instrument of our salvation and getting to
He's
Sniffer.
not the most trustworthy person, but he's
Bartleby
just,
wishes
you know.
to cast a spell. I think this might
Yes,
be
everybody-
calm.
Close their eyes because we're praying for. And my target, of course, I'd like to target Cyrus.
Okay,
To dampen
Cyrus.
his passions.
Cyrus,
You will have resist.
you will have a willpower resist.
Oh, really? Okay.
And Ambriel said we should not get angry.
More.
Oh wow!
So just you need to roll your willpower. It's an opposed roll, so number one, it has to achieve be a success. But then if you get on your roll that succeeds beyond 12, then you have actually withstood the spell. Oh.
Ambriel.
Hang on. Do you want to
Point
luck?
luck?
Do you have any luck left?
You only got 13 more minutes, guys. So
That's
might as well.
my trick.
I have it. So might as well try it. You know.
So you can just reverse the digits if you wish.
Would that pass? Have you passed?
Yeah,
Reverse
29.
29?
It'd be 29. Yeah, you will have succeeded.
Yeah, I'll just reverse it.
Okay then. So as Bartleby is praying, you almost listen to his kind words and his positive words and his lyrical tone, and you sort of like think, what on earth is he doing? Bartleby, you definitely feel that your spell hasn't taken. You didn't even get close to Cyrus's personality. It was almost like trying to calm a plank of wood. in the sense.
Switch to flame strike.
Yeah, and you finish your prayer with and do remember to take the magic point off with an amen, and whatever, and yeah, go for it.
I feel much better now, and I think we can continue. Cyrus, did you need a refill there? I think you need a refill.
I scoot the drink to him, or the cup to him.
Yep.
I'll signal Basil or however drinks are being done, pour the pitcher. So we have 3 tasks we need to accomplish, and we're going to be solving everything. We'll get Sniffer back. We'll get the Hairy Hobgoblin back and lively. And I mean, the biggest thing is that you probably don't want to go begging the Thieves Guild for drink if they make every other bar in town go out of business, Cyrus. That would be embarrassing. You don't want to have to beg for your drink.
They also like taking fingers if you don't pay your tabs, Cyrus.
They can try.
And here you have a great deal going on. So let's get
right.
down to the facts. So we have 3
I feel
things.
it's watered down, Basil. Anyways, sorry, what?
We have 3 things we need to do here. Hazra, we need your skills to save the day. We need female boar dung. You can accomplish that, right? You could get us like a female boar dung.
No, but you need to really explain what Anlin actually said to you, because you know my thing about Anlin anyway, because he sent us on a wild goose chase into the woods, saying that somebody had
it's very simple,
killed his
Hazra.
grandmother, and his grandmother was fine and well, and he was trying to steal her things.
Hazra, it's very simple. We get the boar dung for Annalyn for his latest experiment, and Annalyn will come back to the Hairy Hobgoblin because he doesn't like all the taxes that Sniffer's doing, and he'll also get us a meeting with Sniffer.
But then that would bring Sniffer into the Hairy Hobgoblin and bring Basil into danger.
And then we
why
get
do we
to
want to meet with
attack
Sniffer?
Because he double-crossed us and tried to kill us.
Why do we? If we're going to fight Sniffer,
if you want to fight, just go over there and kill him.
Go into the establishment when it opens and kill him.
Do you guys need my help? Is that what it is? You guys are too
We
scared
do
to
need your
beat the little
help.
Sniffer?
We do need your help in 2 ways.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So in exchange for freeing our alchemist friend from Sniffer's grasp, we need to be able to protect him.
Not our friend. Your friend.
My friend. He did call me friend, so it's technically true. But we need to be able to protect him, and I think through the power of Amriel and the strength of Hengist and Hazra, and through your mighty spellcraft, Cyrus, I think we can protect him. But he had a little bit of a concern that since you can't blame him, Cyrus. A person like you comes at somebody, they're gonna be scared. Who wants to fight fire? Not a little alchemist. He's basically flammable with all the potions he has on him, boar dung and things. He'd like to see if you were willing to prove that you're not going to kill him. Kind of like hey, I'm sorry I did that and I'm not going to do it again, and business is going to be great.
Sorry, what did I do?
Well, you did kind of get angry. I wasn't really paying attention because Hazra was making his funny faces again, and that's pretty good at.
It's not connecting. I don't remember what you're talking about. It doesn't sound familiar.
It was like right behind us.
You did
like,
kind of
right
shout
there.
and scream at him, Cyrus. And
I shout and scream at a lot of people. I'm a rage-filled alcoholic.
Screamer.
You were mad about the poison or something, and
called him a cheat and a charlatan and other words along those ilk.
Oh, is this when he tripped over the chair by himself?
I think it's when you threw him on the floor.
That doesn't sound familiar. I don't think that happened. No, that doesn't. From my recollection, which I know it's hazy.
It's not
at
perfect,
best.
as you just admitted.
I personally think that Annalyn is a Weasley man who's out for his own personal gain. no
There we
matter
go.
who gets hurt.
But we want to do this for
Listen
Basil.
to my man, Hazra.
But please stop, please. But you were a little bit harsh with him. He is one of those necessary
He
snakes.
cheated me out of the deal.
No, he possibly
He should
did.
apologize to me.
Yeah, possibly, but I don't know what deal he had with him.
The deal
I just
he
saw
would
you-
tell
you-
me where the poison came from,
attacked
and he's
him.
like, no. He is a
Did you pay him?
merchant charlatan.
He
did not
is.
know where the poison came from, but it is a bit of a con man. But,
He is a con man and a charlatan, yes.
and I do
but
believe
he's
he's
our-
trying to con Bartleby as well at the moment because
He's important for the business, though. You
I-
can't deny that.
I still cannot understand why we are.
Oh, it's not
we
my
are rescuing
business.
Anlin.
But it's Basil's pub and,
No, but it's
and
Basil's
our
pub, but
pub because
why-
Basil lets us have this table. And
Should
without
not-
Annalyn, there will be no table and there will
should
be no
not
pub.
Anlin be paying us to rescue him from Sniffer?
We see the way Basil forgets our orders and moves around. He has a few years at best. All right, it's not break down our
No, I like Basil. He creates masterpieces of culinary delights.
Yeah,
My-
Mr. Pickles.
He has a few years at best. Come on.
But the few more years that he has now.
And maybe that fire in his kitchen, you know. No, I do not believe that. I think Anlin is using you, Bartleby, to
But
Just
we're using him
rescue-
back to get to
I
Sniffle.
feel like
No,
there's
no,
been
no.
no negotiation. This
Okay.
you
okay.
agreed to everything he wanted. He
I
wants. He wants out of Sniffer's business,
okay.
and you are saying.
So
"Okay, we
it
will
seems
pay
to
you
me,
about
I
it."
just want to make sure that we get the Harmony Lee visit done before the end of the game, which we could do in 5 minutes. But it appears that you're not going to take Annalyn up on his offer.
not
Well, we're
this
discussing
offer.
it.
We're
I
discussing
think
it.
It's
we-
a discussion.
I'm waiting for
If Bartleby wants to,
negotiation.
Hengist will.
You
Because he
can
likes
let
the
him
tavern and he
buy-
likes, but he's given his word to Basil that we're going to do our best
So
to get it
you're-
going
you're-
again, and this is the best to get it going again.
You're going to pay Anlin.
We're not paying him anything.
So you can rescue him.
We're not paying him anything.
No, but you are.
We're not
because
giving him any money.
he should
I'll give him a
pay us.
protection
Basil's
spell. It's
Life
you know.
in danger to rescue Anlin.
So okay then. So
Go-
can I? So is it a case therefore that the party is split down the middle here? That Bartleby and Hengist is willing to work with Annalyn, but Cyrus and Hazra are not.
I'm willing. Hazra is willing to work with Anlin, but not on those terms because he knows.
Yeah.
What
Okay then.
a snake
Cyrus shares
is.
no interest in the deal at hand.
Yeah, okay then. So Hazra and Cyrus are not interested in the deal, which is absolutely fine. Hengist and Bartleby, you are interested in the deal.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's without that third one. I mean, what am I gonna do? Be the person to write out a note
Yeah,
and sign it?
And that's why I'm saying so. That's why I said it looks like the deal can't go ahead because in order for the deal, the two people that really need to be involved are Hazra and Cyrus, and if they're not happy with the deal, then that deal cannot go ahead, which is absolutely fine. And you can send a bluebird to Annalyn to express it. Just in the last few minutes, I just want to quickly change to the point when Hengist and Bartleby, you go and visit Harmony Lee. And the first thing that you notice when you enter the house is almost like the mournful feeling that's in there. You notice that all the servants are moving around very slowly and very quietly with bowed heads. Some of them seem to be almost like weeping and tears coming down their eyes. A lot of the younger members of staff. And you're shown up to Harmony Lee's room. And you go in the room, and Harmony Lee is actually lying on the bed. She's under the covers, and the covers have been tucked in either side, if that makes sense. And the covers are completely smooth. There's no wrinkles in them or anything. And you suddenly realise that she's probably been in the same position for a lot of hours, maybe. Her arms are over the top, and her head is cradled in two almost like goose down pillows. And Bartleby, just as you get into the room and you see her, just roll your do you have medicine or first aid?
I have the healing.
Healing, yeah. Well, roll your healing for me.
I'll use my last point of luck to reverse that. If I
Yeah,
may.
and you, as you walk towards her, you're quite shocked. Hengist, you are even shocked. She looks ashen, clammy skin. Her eyes are shut, but seem to almost like have that rapid eye movement underneath her eyes, as if she's dreaming or going through hallucinations or something. And you notice that she is incredibly drawn. She's so pale. She almost like, and the skin is so tight around her facial bones that she almost like looks skeletal. And Hengist, this is not what she looked like last night.
Yeah.
At all. And Bartleby, at the stroke of 10 as we finish the game, something hits you with all your medical and healing knowledge. You don't think Harmony Lee is going to last the next few minutes rather than hours or days. You think that death is probably knocking at her door, and pretty soon she will die, probably in that bed, possibly right before your faces. And that's where we will leave it for this week. So thank you to everybody in the chat for coming along and supporting us. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you've missed any of today's session, then the video will go up so you can go back and have a look at it. And don't forget, if you want to watch part 1 of Myths and Shadows, then that is up on the YouTube as well. So just search for InWheels on there and you can see it. Thank you to the players tonight. It's been a really interesting game and lots of roleplay, which is absolutely fantastic. Just before we go, just to remind you that I've upgraded some of the tier systems in the Patreon account, and now you can actually gain access after the event to the notes that I have. So they're all stored on World Anvil, and I can share them with you to see, so you can see behind. You're not getting them before the adventure's finished, but afterwards. So if that's something that interests you, then do go along to the Patreon page and have a look. Until next time, please remember to stay safe, cover your face, and give space to everyone. And we will see what happens next week. What will happen to Harmony Lee? And more importantly, how are the fearsome four, well, are they going to save the Hairy Hobgoblin? And if they are, how? And if they're not, then where will they be? Where will their new tavern of choice be? I think there's a slum tavern that Mr. Bartleby knows of.
We shouldn't go there.
We really shouldn't.
My friend owns it. We shouldn't go.
So
they do awful things to the beer there.
Yeah. So look,
Hazra has been invited many times. So and Cyrus has only recently joined the party, but probably will if he stays away from our wine cellar.
The hell room for Cyrus was cut wineskins. Remember those?
If that was Cyrus that cut my wineskins,
It probably was.
that's it. Friendship gone.
we will catch you all next week when we come back for part 3 of Myths and Shadows.
You wouldn't give me any wine. Sorry.
Until then, look after yourself. enjoy some role playing, and we will see you next week. Until then, stay positive, and we'll catch you all later. Say goodbye, people.
Goodbye,
Bye.
people.
Here we go.